Hello and welcome to the end of day 3 of the NCA conference here in New Orleans. I'm Nadia Zaffar.
And I'm Cusson.
Today was a day of honors and awards here at NCA. Lawrence Fry received the Achievement Award for Group Communications. He has edited 16 books and his name has appeared in over 80 publications. Also, participants took time out to remember and honor the memory of Linda Lee Cade, who passed away earlier this year in April. She was a pioneer in her scholarship in political communications.
Another event tonight was the Presidential Address and Awards Ceremony. At this event, Lynn Turner, the president of NCA from Marquette, gave a speech in which she examined what the actual voice of NCA is. This has been a theme that has been playing out through all the panels that we've seen in these past few days, and she explained to us that it's more than just a projection of sound. It's about evoking emotion to facilitate change in our society. She also said that it's about who we are and what we want to do. She also examined the role that social media plays in projecting that voice in today's society.
Yeah, the theme of voice has definitely continued throughout all the panels. We had a panel by Bill Ayers tonight in which he spoke about communications for social justice. This panel was very well received. Participants surrounded Bill Ayers as he summed up the panel because they wanted to talk to him a little bit more.
And in another discussion, a panel examined the role that women play in Tyler Perry's films. You know, there's sort of this unfair balance where African Americans aren't really portrayed in films in Hollywood. And while some women are happy that Tyler Perry has had so much success in Hollywood, they're a little disappointed at the role that he's, the sort of one-dimensional stereotypes of women that he's portraying in these films.
Great. Also today, Zach, NCA embraced new media completely. Skype made a debut into the panels. We had a number of panels using Skype technology to bring in people, and one of them was Harry Shearer, the filmmaker behind The Big Uneasy, and he was Skyping in to talk to panelists and participants.
And that element of Skype really added a new dynamic to this panel. We've sort of seen how normally it's just a panel sitting up at the front of the room just telling you about their research, but this really felt more like a Q&A between Harry Shearer and his fans.
Absolutely. Nobody minds a little bit of celebrity, and that's what happened today at this panel with Harry Shearer. But on a more serious note, he did talk about how his film, The Big Uneasy, is basically an implicit media critique on how the media failed to portray a more, true picture of what was happening in New Orleans when the flooding did take place. It was very close to him.
And in making that documentary, he talked about how he sort of struggled to find the balance between being a journalist and a storyteller. When you're producing a documentary, it's often very difficult to find that balance between telling your side of the story without being very biased. And he just, explained the struggles that he found when producing this film.
He did leave journalists with a good lesson. He talked about how journalists should be catering to the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why. And in his opinion, in their coverage of New Orleans crisis, they totally missed out the why.
And Skype was also used in another panel in which Egyptian activists Skyped in from Cairo. Our reporter Joe Leahy attended that event, and we're talking with him coming up.
Now, one of the panels that used Skype today was a panel on Egyptian liberation. We had activists Skype in from Cairo, Egypt. Joseph Leahy was there, and he's going to tell us a little bit about it. Who were these activists that Skyped into this panel today, Joe?
That's right. We had two great voices of the Egypt revolution. One was the former editor-in-chief and an independent journalist of the Cairo Times. The other was a political activist and theorist. And together they really gave an excellent perspective on where the revolution is at this moment, which they were quick to emphasize was only half done. I mean, they have taken it to the streets, they've overthrown the government, but that's as far as it goes right now, and there's a lot to be worried about. Specifically, they're saying, they're waiting and cautiously hoping that the military does what it says it's going to do, which is relinquish power when the elections come, actually, which will be in November 28th. So.
Right. Now I understand that you actually had the opportunity to talk directly with these panelists from Cairo. What did you ask them?
That's right. Yeah, I was particularly interested in the role of media, social media, in giving rise to the movement, because it did play a significant role throughout the Arab Spring in general. But what they were quick to point out was that, you know, the Egyptian government, when they realized what was going on, shut virtually all of the internet down. But it was a move that was basically too little too late, as they said, because at that point the momentum had started, and in fact it inflamed the people who would otherwise have not been as aware, because all of a sudden, you know, your internet's gone. If you could imagine, you know, living here in the U.S. and all of a sudden you have no internet, the first thing you would do is go to the street and demand what's going on. Yeah. The second thing we spoke about was the Occupy movement, the anti-Wall Street protests that have begun in the U.S., spread across the U.S., but have also taken place elsewhere. And there was no, the political activists and organizers said that there was no like direct link. You know, they're not, these parties are sort of independent, but they were definitely part of the same movement. They're challenging the same power structure, albeit from different angles, one being from the streets, trying to take down a dictatorial regime, and the other, you know, as we've seen here in the United States, a more vague, insidious kind of power that is harder to really pin down, but nonetheless still part of the same structure.
Right, so it seems that NCA is really harnessing the power of social media for the conference that they have had so many panels about.
That's right.
Time.
It was amazing to just be standing there and getting to speak directly with these people on the ground who have been through so much and have so much to go through in the future, in the near future.
Well, thank you, Joe, for sharing this with us and talking to us here today at NCA.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Well, Zach, it has been a packed 3 days of panels and discussions here at NCA.
That's right, Nadia. Now, there are more panels tomorrow. Be sure to check out the hotel screens for more info on those. But this is going to be the last broadcast for today at NCA. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Zach Cusson.
And I'm Nadia Zaffar.